I think this is a major victory for Meghan Markle. Obviously, she's had her first instance victory affirmed by the Court of Appeal. But on the other hand, I think it's going to create a problem for her because I think the Mail on Sunday have no alternative but to appeal. There's an issue of principle here, which is whether this case should be finished before a trial without disclosure, without testing the evidence. And I think there's a body of legal opinion out there, and certainly an opinion held by the Mail on Sunday and its lawyers, that this is a matter which really needs to be tested in court and should be a trial. Even if they lose, they have a right to this trial. She obviously believes that her privacy was grossly invaded in a private communication, and one understands that. And provided this was a private letter from daughter to father, no matter their public status, that should have stayed private always. The doubt that's being cast on it is that this was actually used as part of a briefing campaign. So 4 of her friends were pressed into service to give it to an American publication. Omid Scobie was given information in relation to his book. And so as a consequence of that, I think the question is very live as to whether this letter was dressed up as a privacy Trojan horse, which it was always intended from Meghan's side to publish and to leak and to use as briefing material. And I think if that were the case, she clearly didn't have a reasonable expectation of privacy. And I think it's the failure to examine that argument in trial with discovery and all of those other things that go with it that I think is causing some pause for thought over this judgment. If the Mail appeals, then of course this case goes on. It would be unusual for a case of this kind to be taken by the Supreme Court, but arguably there is a wider point. And I think it's almost as night follows day, likely that this case will go to the European Court of Human Rights to test the proposition as to whether or not this matter should have actually gone to trial and whether the Court of Appeal have got this right. And so I think, we're at round 2 now, and I think there's rounds 3 or 4 yet to come, which means a longer fight for Meghan, which she may well win in the end. But I think at the moment, I think there's a pall over this decision.